I have made a ton of videos about starting and growing tomatoes, and this microblocker is my new favorite tool. This is not sponsored in any way, I just love this thing. I have previously done a video, and I'll link that here, on why I like starting seeds in soil blocks. This is pretty much the exact same thing, just much, much smaller. I'll show a quick video here of the process. The only new nuance is sizing up when you go from one of these micro blocks to a regular sized soil block, and I'll show you here how that's done. Each of the blockers comes with inserts to create holes for planting. The trick with the micro blocker is that it comes with these black plastic inserts that are sized to match it. So you go in, you pinch from above, and you remove the plastic ones that came with. You then insert the black plastic blocks, and they just snap into place. I'll show this for the remaining 3 here. Once you have all of these ready in place, you can go in and use this like you normally would, pressing in the soil firmly, leveling off the bottom, and firmly pressing to release. But you'll notice now you have holes the perfect size for these micro blocks. And you see I can go in here and gently place a micro block, and it drops right into that hole. That's what it looks like if you're going to go from a micro block to a larger soil block. In the case of my tomatoes, I often use grow bags, as I have mentioned before. And in that case, it's quite simple to take one of those grow bags filled with soil and drop the micro block straight into it. Using the micro blocker gives us 3 important benefits. The first, and for me the most important, is that they heat up much better. I have a chart here that shows the ideal germination temperatures for different crops. And as you can see, things like tomatoes, peppers, and squash all require warmer soil in order to germinate well. I use an electric seed starting mat to help that process along, and I find with these smaller blocks of soil, the mat does a much better job of getting them warm and keeping them warm so that I get much better germination. Great for tomatoes. It was also really, really helpful for my peppers this year. The second benefit is space. This year we have moved to our larger lot with no HOA, and I can finally put in a large garden. I'll do a separate video on my plans for the larger garden this year, but they include growing a ton of tomatoes for the purpose of canning the paste tomatoes, as well as growing a lot of peppers that I plan to slice up and freeze. All in, I need approximately 74 tomatoes and 36 pepper plants. When I layer in an extra 15% overage to account for potentially spotty germination, that puts me at a total of 85 tomatoes and 45 peppers that I need to start, or 130 total. I was able to fit all of those starts in a single tray. If I had been using my regular soil blocker for each of those plants, I would need 4 to 5 times as many trays. That might not sound like a big deal, but bear in mind that each of those then requires a warming mat, a humidity dome, and shop lights, and altogether that cost can really add up. The third benefit is a little more abstract, but no less important, and that is opportunity cost. Every time I start a block of soil, I am taking up time, I'm taking up space, and I'm taking up materials. With the micro blocker, not only do I get faster germination in less space, I get information faster. If one of those soil blocks is a dud and the seed isn't going to germinate, I find out more quickly. As a result, I can feasibly start not only extra overage percentage to account for poor germination, but I can also very quickly do a second or third wave of seedlings for tomatoes and peppers in case I do see poor germination, or, given my history, if I accidentally kill the seedlings. In summary, I do highly recommend this tool. My original soil blocker, I think, was about $45 and has lasted me many years now. This micro blocker was, I think, an additional $35, and at the time I wasn't willing to make the investment of this, but I really wish I had done it sooner. I think on the plus side, the fact that I've been able to do this compare-contrast of using the regular blocker versus the micro blocker really has enabled me to see the value of it. Again, this isn't sponsored. Just if you can find these, they're readily available. I do highly recommend them if you're planning on starting any large amount of tomatoes or pepper seedlings anytime in the near future. My next video will be on the plans for the much larger garden this year, what I'm going to try and grow and why. But until then, I hope this shorter one was helpful. Thanks.